I'm going to do a VOD review for Octavius here on Ash. This is a low silver game, so I'm going to take a look. Probably mainly, I imagine we're mainly going to be talking about positioning and ult usage, more so the mechanics. For two reasons, mainly. Just telling someone you should aim better isn't useful to them at all, and also because it's a silver game. There's usually other things they can work on besides just like raw, mechanical aim. So if I'm talking about mechanics versus game sense, that's usually what I'm talking about, like aiming and landing your abilities. And ultimate usage is kind of game sense, kind of mechanics. It's a little 50-50, but generally I'll divide things up into mechanics and game sense, and I'll try and mention mechanical errors if I see them briefly, but mainly I'm here to talk about your game sense and your positioning and things like that. All right, So yeah, I like that you've got the high ground here. This looks good so far. We haven't really talked about team comp at all, but at a quick glance, it looks okay. Nothing stands out as a problem right now. Let's see where your Mercy is. Okay, your Mercy is damage boosting your Junkrat, which typically you would expect the Mercy to be damage boosting you. Mercy Ash is pretty common, so definitely be nice to your Mercy, right? But definitely tell your Mercy to pocket you if she's not pocketing you. Just be nice about it, because obviously the break point with Ash, landing a headshot with damage boost, less so after post nerf, but I still think it holds true that Ash benefits more from the damage boost than Junkrat does. So he just basically got. So you're actually even here. I didn't quite see, what's going on, but that's not necessarily important. What you should understand is that they're down a tank, you're down a tank, right? So all things being equal, that's kind of bad for the defense, especially because the Mercy is rezzing right now. So yeah, it's going to be. I would say right now you shouldn't be focused on the tank line, like shooting Rhine right now. Even to a lesser extent, shooting Reaper is not as high value. You should be trying to dynamite the Mercy and or headshot the Ash right here, I think. Okay, so that's a good dynamite, but I think dynamite wouldn't have stopped the res, right? But you want to if you can put the Mercy under threat early enough, you might dissuade her from even going for the res, right? I think I went back a little too far there. Let's see if I can. Okay, let's see this one more time. So here's the trade. Winston's basically standing still, goes down. Ryan gets the charge. So you don't know what the team comp is yet. You don't necessarily know that there's Mercy there, and you're kind of, I think, over focused on like right here. So you're scoped in and you can't see. At a higher level, I think this Ash would have just shot you because you're basically standing still. Let's see from her perspective real quick. She is shooting at you, but it's not as nasty as it could have been. So definitely be aware that other snipers will be aiming for, like a Widow or a competent Ash here could very easily pick you. Yeah, little lucky there. Alright, let's get back to you. Okay, now you've got the Mercy damage boost, which is good. You lost track of the Reaper. Oh, that's very nice. Let's see if you can. Okay, so that's just mechanical skill. Now, you probably tunnel vision, tried to get that Mercy kill, and I totally understand why, but I think you probably should have heard Reaper's footsteps here. He is very, very loud. Unless he crouch walked up on you, you knew he was back there. You probably should have heard him coming. Yeah, his footsteps clear for like about a second there, but a second could be the difference between life and death. So I think your team's going to lose this point, I imagine. kind of suffered a few too many losses here. We'll see. You know, be a very chaotic rank. But I think you took too many losses too fast to really hold on to this point. Yeah, it's a little bit of valiant effort from your Sigma, but I honestly think your tank should concede point right here. Like, you know, you can call for your tanks to. Probably doesn't happen at this rank, but you can start calling for your tanks to, you know, come back and retreat, because then you end up in this situation where your Sigma and Zarya are dead. Your Zarya's lost all her charge, and you're gonna have to wait. You know, your whole team's gonna play without tanks for the for like the next 25 to 30 seconds, which is a pretty long time. Yeah. So you lose first point. You could contest in this corner if your tanks were still alive, so, you know, it's not really, it doesn't have that much to do with your Ana play, per se, but, you know, is definitely call-outs that you should be making as a team, you know, to group up and to give, when you should give up point, stuff like that, right? Like, be the leader, be the person that makes those calls early, when you see that happening. Because I could tell you, right, I could tell you that fight was lost. Gosh, like, probably from your death, honestly. Probably pretty clear that you're basically in a 4v6 situation at this point. Let's see. Yeah, 4 of your team members versus maybe 5 or 6, depending on how you want to count the Ana at this point. But yeah, you're already outnumbered, and they actually do, you know, they have a little bit of a spawn advantage at this point. So let's just jump back forward again. So yeah, my point being, the team fight's basically lost from here. So you should know. You should know basically at this point, just by spectating what's going on at the point, that this is not really super winnable, right? All right, let's back off. Give them the point. You know, it's a hard call to make when they've only taken like half a tick, but you know, stalling the point is good too. Like I think it's good that your Junkrat stayed in and stalled the point a bit, but at this point, I think your tanks can retreat and potentially live. And I think that's what they should have gone for, because where your Sigma's contesting, you know, he's actually not contesting the point really. He's got an off point, you know, so at this point he should be trying to retreat. With the assistance from the Zarya, he could maybe do that. So the sooner you call for the retreat, the more likely they are to survive. So. Yeah, I'm a little sad that you didn't throw your dynamite here to try and hit everyone as they're grouped up in this cluster. You know, that's a lot of potential free ult charge you could use. A minor thing, but these minor things can add up. So, you know, you can toss that right over the Rhine's head and light everybody on fire, even with his shield up. So, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, with an Ashe duel like this, an important thing to note about Ashe is that her head hitbox is actually pretty wide. Like, her head hitbox is basically her whole hat. So, when you're fighting another Ashe like this and you're strafing back and forth, try and think more, try and, like, keep your crosshair still and wait for the Ashe to strafe back into your crosshair. It sounds a little counterintuitive, but trying to, like, snap your aim to her as she like changes direction and comes, you know, back against the direction of your crosshair can make it difficult to land those shots, right? So try and get your crosshair at head height and kind of, you know, as you strafe back and forth and she strafes back and forth, try and like get that moment, you know, without like flicking your aim off to try and get those shots. Yeah. I would not have gone forward when you caught on fire here into the, you know, the Rhine and the Reaper are both pretty dangerous threats up close. So, yeah, I was going to say use your coach gun, but obviously you are using your coach gun. So maybe, let's see what you're trying to do here. Okay, actually I like that a lot. I was going to say you should retreat back to your Mercy. Here you kind of left alone. Like, I like playing into the Mega Room. This is pretty good, but I think it leaves your Mercy and your Zen kind of exposed. I think it probably would have been better to try and shotgun your build, you know, jump back to here. You're effectively out of the range of the Reaper and the Rhine. Potentially you push them back. The only person that can kill you at that point is the Ashe, and hopefully with the Mercy and Zen pocket, like you'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? So not the worst thing again in the world. This is like nitpicky stuff, but
That's better.
I think you should have stayed on main instead of going to that side room, because potentially Reaper could have chased you into the side room if he was a little faster, and then you're dueling him 1v1. You stay out here with your supports, play as a team. Yeah, this is a good spot to use your dynamite right here through this little narrow chokeway into basically the whole enemy team. Nice. That's pretty good shooting. Okay. So you basically lit everyone on fire and then they got hit by a tire. Okay. Sorry, it took me a second to realize what happened there. Yeah. Yeah, this is fine. Basically, yeah, I'm a little. I think you might have been able to kill that Winston. Maybe, I don't know. He got a little low there for a second. You can keep playing this angle for a pretty long time, especially if you're. I knew he threw the bubble, but especially when your coach gun is on cooldown, you can play here for a pretty reasonable amount of time. And if they try and push you, if the Winston tries to jump you, like what just happened, you can shotgun him back. I think you just did that, but like your shotgun, you can use as an escape tool to get back over here to Mega, right? Like this is pretty safe and pretty annoying to the enemy team. So holding here with your Mercy damage boosting you and keeping you alive, pretty strong position.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't think Ashe is as strong here actually, because it's actually further range, Sorry, it's closer range than the spot over there. It's actually more the range from over there favors Ashe's kit a little better than here. At this distance, obviously, I think Reaper's. This is more a range that Reaper's more comfortable at, right? And Ryan too. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Just the composition of your enemy team. Play at the range that you're comfortable at, and try and play at the range that they're uncomfortable at, right? If you can nail that Venn diagram. That would be ideal. So, okay, so you're a little, I would say, one thing it's a little early in the game to tell, but I think you're a little unfocused on picking a target to kill. So you went for the Ashe for a second there. Go for the bomb. I'd like to see those bombs, like when the Rhine's there, the shield's up. Obviously, you got blocked by the Winston shield, not the Rhine shield. I'd like to see you throw those dynamites like up higher and try and shoot them at a high angle, just to go over the Rhine shield, go over their heads, potentially even the Winston bubble. Like let's say you shut through your dynamite like high up, like here, and you exploded it. You could actually, depending on the timing, you could catch someone outside the bubble and light them on fire, even when the bubble goes off. Yeah, definitely throw those dynamites higher because you just got blocked. Your last two dynamites got blocked by a shield. So try and throw them up above their heads. That's a pretty big radius. Okay, it's been, we'll see how this team fight plays out. But I'm going to say that also you can use, don't be afraid to use your ult. You can generate it pretty quickly if you're catching a good number of people with the dynamites. You can generate ult fairly quickly on Ashe. So don't be afraid to use Bob to pressure the enemy team. Like right now even would be a pretty decent spot. You can, as Ryan pushes all of your team members, you throw Bob at the cart. Bob holds down the cart, keeps the other team busy. You and the rest of your team turn on Ryan, right? But by not doing that, you've allowed the enemy team to push the cart while they're making this play into your team, right? Even if they burst down Bob over here, it keeps them busy for 2-3 seconds, maybe 5-10 seconds.
Bob,
okay. Yeah, so you end up throwing Bob at the cart, which I like. Yeah, I didn't like pushing into the cart behind your Bob, right? There wasn't, in my opinion, there was not a lot of point in pushing into where your Bob is already contesting the payload. So, let's see this again. I Bob the cart here. Bob the cart. It's good, but just a little late. Okay, I don't see what you're doing here. Why you push into where your Bob's at? Okay, the Winston boofs you. Not your fault. But you can still shotgun out of here. Yeah. And you shotgun up, which is probably less safe, actually, than just booping towards your team. You know, potentially booping towards your team here. Your Zarya could probably... Your Sigma could throw out a shield that saves you. Your Mercy can heal you. Also, if you end up dying over here in the middle of your team, you're that much more likely to get rezzed by your Mercy, right? Than if you die, like, over here, right? So, I don't like the jump. I don't like the pogo jump straight up. I would have rather see you jump backwards into your team. Oh, you actually made it out alive. I'm very surprised, actually. Okay. I like that you're doing this flank. I don't like that you came around this corner scoped up like that. You can actually quick scope pretty easily in Overwatch, pretty easily as Ashe. And obviously the reduced movement speed while you're aiming down sights makes you come around this corner slowly. So come around the corner at normal speed, find your target, then scope up. It feels like a tiny optimization, right? The difference between walking scoped up to here and walking up to here unscoped. But yeah, these tiny things can add up. Okay, so this is just a mechanical thing. You know, I think you missed some shots on the Ashe, but the Ana. You missed a couple shots on the Ana, but the thing about the way the Ana's playing is she's just bunny hopping constantly. So try and learn. You know, in my opinion, jumping like this is really bad because it's not just my opinion. A lot of people's opinion is that jumping like this makes you really predictable. So you know, as you get better with your mechanics, with your aiming, try and learn to predict these jumps, right? You know, in your brain, as soon as they jump, you know where they're going to be, and that should make them that much. Let me get back in your perspective. Oh, nice, you got her. I said all that talk about you trying to about you getting you to land your shots, and you just land your shot the very next second. Yeah. Okay. Seen this. Miraculously survive. Okay, little slow coming around this corner, I feel like. Okay. See, she's just bunny hopping constantly. I feel like these are relatively easy shots because she's bunny hopping. Boom. Alright, nice. That's solid flick. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Dynamite to cart would be like classic. You actually don't need... So I think you're moving this way because you're trying to regroup with your team. Your team is dead, right? Actually, not that useful. I suspect that depending on their team comp, it's not amazing for this, but they're probably going to try and kill you because you're literally the only threat on the board. But if you sit back here and throw dynamite and just poke at their shield and be annoying, and stay further back at those comfortable Ashe ranges, you're that much more difficult to kill. You're that much more annoying. Let's see. They're not chasing you very aggressively. I think if their Winston was still alive, he would have dived you there. Yeah. Again, I think a little bit of focus fire on the target. If you shot the Ashe once and then you immediately change target to the Mercy, but if you get that like headshot body shot combo, you can just wipe the Ashe off the board, right? I understand switching targets to Mercy, but it's sometimes you do want to switch targets, but I feel like if you focus down individual targets a little bit better, I think it would be an improvement overall. Not in every situation, you understand, but like here and there, there's those key moments where it's like, I think if you just landed a headshot, if you just like follow it up with another headshot on the Ashe, the Mercy can't heal that fast, right? If you headshot body shot combo fast enough, I don't know if that works if she has a Mercy pocket, but you can out DPS Mercy heals with however many shots that takes. But yeah, you got to focus on that individual target. Okay. So yeah, you got some nice shots in here, and I think you were talking about that a bit in your post. You're saying like, hey, I landed a good number of critical shots. Landed a good number of scope shots. but it's definitely about that follow-up, right? So, you know, he's taking that damage and he's going to hide back here, but where's he going to go, right? Like, this is prime dynamite time to confirm that kill. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I was not paying that much attention to cart, and I feel like probably no one else was either, because your tanks could have definitely contested that. But we're not talking about your tanks, we're talking about you. I think you could have used this dynamite to get this Reaper kill before he made it down to low ground. Potentially. It's a tricky shot, but, you know, the dynamite, I'm sure you know this, but just in case, you throw the dynamite, it goes, like if you throw the dynamite and don't move your crosshair, the dynamite goes to your crosshair, right? So if you throw the dynamite and hold your mouse still, you just click when the dynamite crosses your crosshair and you'll hit it every time, right? So if you throw your dynamite up top here, the radius is big enough, you catch that Reaper. I don't know if he has Wraith necessarily at this point. You can check. But, so yeah, might not have gotten you that kill, but it might have. The explosion is, if he was slow enough, you might have gotten that kill. If he didn't Wraith. You caught him off guard. But yeah, either way you end up losing point over here. God. Yeah, it's pretty, you know, I don't want to, you know, talk too much about what your team's doing, but kills at this point, like right after they've capped the payload, kills are almost worthless. Like you end up headshotting the D.Va here, she'll just come out of spawn here in a mech. Like, super low value. Your team should be regrouping here, and that means, you know, since they're not, you should be calling for them to, like, okay, back off, guys. Oh, we lost the point. We got to set up defense on this corner. You know, it's not always a fun job being the shot caller, but you know, it will help you win games. Yeah, so it's a nice shot, but unfortunately, it's ultimately worthless because you actually help the D.Va get back into mech. You know, I don't know how close she was to her ultimate. Actually, you can probably see it at the top here. 30%? Yeah, so you you effectively help D.Va get back into mech. Like, that sucks to hear on a nice headshot, but, like, it's true. I do like that you're basically, like, wiping the enemy team here. Like I said, the kills at this point are basically meaningless. But if you actually, like, stagger the enemy team, like if you get this kill on the Rhine in a little bit, let's see what happens here. I'm feeling like he'll get away, but yeah, so he just retreats to his spawn and he's fine. At which point, where are you? You're this is not a good position, right? You're basically right out in front of the enemy spawn, and you're the furthest front of your team, and you're a sniper, man. Like, you should try and play these high grounds more, you know? Like, if you're gonna play out here, like after the enemy team has capped, you know, like, look around, where should you be? High ground. In fact, you should try and always be on the high ground every time, but like, this is such a stronger position. You can, like, catch them coming out of spawn, potentially. You know, like when you were chasing this Reinhardt, let him go. You know? He's not a threat to you. He's like half health. He's got shield. He's retreating to spawn. Go this way. Shotgun yourself up to high ground. Set up here, right? Like, you had time. Okay. I think you've realized at this point you're in danger. But, like, look how far you have to travel out in the open. Frank, like, I would... You know, I'm gonna say I'd be surprised if you survive at this point, but, like, you know, it is silver, and they are failing to punish some of these. The enemy team is, yeah. At a higher rank, you would have been hit with a hit scan, and the D.Va would jump on you, or Winston would jump on you. Like, I don't think you would have. I don't think at a higher rank you would have made it from here to here that easily. But so something to keep in mind. You know, again, if you're playing from up here, and you're sniping at them, you're annoying them, you're maybe getting a pick on, like, an Ana or a Mercy in the back line, you know, those are your choice targets, obviously, as a sniper, like pumping damage into, like, the Rhine, who has a shield and who's getting healed, or into the D.Va, who can defense matrix and is getting healed. Not so high value. But if you sit up here and you play safe and you, like, try and ambush their backline, eventually they'll be forced to jump up here and push you, right? At which point, like, maybe they kill you, but like then, like, what if they gained? You know, they still have to push all of this, and you'll be coming back pretty quickly to fight them again, like here, probably, right? Payload's still all the way over there. Like, if you die up here at this point, like, no big deal for third point, right? But if you die out here in the open, you know. Anyway, I think I've talked about this enough. Moving on. Okay. Again, you know, Bob is pretty high impact, so I understand the impulse to hold on to Bob for like those big plays. But a big, you know, another big, you could throw him at cart is basically what I'm about to say. You could throw him at cart, install cart. Somehow, somehow your Sigma's over here, you know, maybe with a Bob shooting at someone and the like, maybe you can make a play happen here with Bob. And worst case scenario, if you throw it at cart, you stall it for like, you know, I don't know, 3 to 5 seconds, something like that. You know, 1000 HP, you can burst through it, but it takes a lot of focus, and maybe in the focus, while they're all busy dealing with Bob, maybe your Sigma has a chance to like make a play, make an escape, get a pick, you know, make a play happen here with the Bob, I think. Okay, let's see here. I like that dynamite, but again, you missed the dynamite, so I just, yeah, remember that trick. You can the dynamite will go exactly where your crosshair is if you don't move your crosshair. It'll make landing those dynamites really easy if you're not already aware of. Yeah, again, throwing a Bob right after a shatter is good too, because let's see if you get caught in the shatter. Oh yeah, that's unfortunate. Because their Rhine does this. Like, one of their best defenses against Rhine is one of the best defenses against Bob is the Rhine shield. And when the Rhine hammer throws that hammer, like, you can almost guarantee he's going to charge in like this and deprive the team of his shield. At which point you throw Bob in, and then all, you know, maybe 4 or 5 of these players are going to have to deal with the Bob while you guys deal with the Rhine. Okay. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. There you go. That's one way to deal with. Your Rhine. Okay. Again, this, you know, just throw the Bob more often. I think you're holding on to him a little bit too long. You know, you don't need the perfect situation for your ults, because, you know, the time spent holding on to your ult is time spent not generating another ult, right? Like, yeah, you could have thrown Bob like through the whole enemy team. He knocks a bunch of people up and start shooting them in the back. You know, multiply that DPS. Yeah. I think your team's gonna win this fight anyway, but, you know, Bob might just make it like more. You know, give them less of a chance to like potentially get like a big pick. Like, I would say I'm a little concerned about one of your teammates, say your Mercy, getting picked by your Reaper right now, because, you know, this fight is kind of like back and forth slugfest. Like, yeah, your team's kind of in the lead, but, you know, just throw the Bob to lock out the team fight, right? It's a little late now because, you know, your team has gotten those kills. Maybe at this point it's too late because the supports have like a good, you know, I think these supports are aware that their team's going to lose this team fight, and they're ready to, if you threw Bob now, they could just LOS it. So it's a little too late now. The window has passed. Oh, yeah. It's almost. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about with the supports, you know, kind of backing out of the fight. I don't know if you should peek around this corner, though, to try and get those kills. I think you're probably thirsting. You know, you almost killed the Mercy, and you're like, I want it. I want that kill. I'm going to go out for it. But, yeah, definitely, you know, at this point, it's time to retreat, because the Rhine could just, like, you know, throw out crazy charge, or just, you know, maybe a fire strike and just walk into you and hold W. And you're at threat now, let's just say. You're playing a little unsafe. Yeah, I don't know. That's a little. That's I understand pushing to check this corner, but like when you realize this corner is gonna work, I wouldn't stay this far up, right? Like come all the way back down to here, or like use your shotgun to get even further back, like over here. You can see all of your targets just fine, like play at those comfortable ranges for Ash. Yeah.
Activating the barrier.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely think you stayed here too long. Especially like it should be like resoundingly obvious that this is a bad spot to stand. After the fact, like because the Rhine literally walked out of your LOS, stood here, got healing, got his shield to full, and then when he felt like he could, he came around this corner and basically just started swinging on you. Like that should be an indicator that you're too close to the action here. Yeah. And also, if you're playing further back like this, it lets you more effectively like turn and deal with threats like this because you can block sightlines over here and just deal with your flanker problem. Pushed up to where you are, you're getting caught in the flank, right? I mean, you almost got caught by the Rhine. You retreat like this, and yeah, definitely retreat in such a way that you can play these corners. Don't stay out in positions like this. Like, what's the value of this position? Versus, what's a cost? It sounds so technical. What's a cost benefit analysis of this position versus this position? But like, hopefully, you see that there's nothing you get from being up here that you don't also get from being back here in the safer spot, right? Yeah. So, because. Yeah, it's worth pointing out you still have that bob from earlier when I was saying like throw your bob out. Confirm these fights like this is basically being one continuing fight, right? Because their spawn's right there. But you can actually, if you close out these fights a little more convincingly, then you won't get this long drawn out fight where the momentum slowly turns against you because the enemy has that spawn advantage, right? So being overusing your ults is bad, but it's better to overuse than to underuse in general because situations like this. Fortunately, I think your Junkrat is honestly like hard carrying your team here. He's had like in the sense that he's had like some really big tires that have basically. But yeah, I would say overall, I think honestly, I'm starting to think that the enemy diva is standing still on purpose so that she gets killed, so that she gets her mech back, which is, I have mixed feelings about that decision, but definitely understand that you're getting some headshots on the baby diva, and hey, that looks good in the stats, but it's actually not that valuable because baby diva will just be back in like 9 seconds with a mech, right? So yeah, this is crazy actually. Like I was talking about like using those ults to like finish out a fight so that you don't get this like slow roll of momentum. That was one continuous fight, right? From this point here, and you basically, even though your team was getting these like nice, what would be like a fat, double or triple kill, the enemies just kept coming out of spawn, and they've just rolled, that spawn advantage is just let them slow roll you to the point where I think they're like super dominant right now, and they're about to like close out the whole point. So, just from a couple mistakes here in this fight, I don't want to say they were all your mistakes, but like a couple of your mistakes and a couple of your team's mistakes here have got you into this really bad position now where the enemy team is like rolling this cart into third really strong, But yeah, if you commit those ults to secure out those fights you're already winning, then the enemy team can't snowball. Yeah, obviously a little bit of mechanical things there. The Ana was basically standing still. Yeah, might be. it might be a little bit like, you know, too up there on a skill level situation, but you can always throw your dynamite and go for those headshots at the same time. Like you huck your dynamite over here, and you try and get a pick on the Ash. You don't, yeah. Anyway, just something to think about. You don't have to only do one thing at a time, right? You know, you can throw Bob and then go for those headshots. You can throw your dynamite and then go for those headshots. You can do all three like in very quick succession. Okay, yeah, the dynamite was not great, but you probably you probably realized what was wrong with that. Yeah. Okay, so I think what you just tried to do there was contest the cart as Ash. You know, basically just you came around here. I gotta stop this cart. He took a whack of damage, and you're like, I'm out. Ultimately, pretty bad play. Did not accomplish very much, and put you in that annoying sound. Didn't accomplish that much. Put you in danger. That's your tank's job. You know, I don't think. You know, I don't love the mindset of like, oh, my tank should be doing that, so I don't need to do that. But like, at the same time, it really isn't your job to be out here, you know, by yourself in front of your team, right? You're just keep in mind, Ash is a sniper. You know, you want to be sniping as much as possible, right? Like this is your safe Ash position. You know, your tanks are there to stall the payload. Your job is to try and, you know, maybe land a nice Mercy headshot from all the way back over there. It's you know, maybe that's just like a harder shot for you. Therefore, you want to play closer, you know, because this is easier shots from here. But you know, I think just practice, right? You'll get better at sniping for, you know, long range headshots and things like that. So, because yeah, you know, that 100 damage you took may feel negligible just because you're getting healed, but like, oh man, you know, if you had 100 more health, right? Like, you feel a lot better right now if you had 100 more health, right? And again, you came around this corner. I don't love this corner peek. I feel like look, you've broken LOS from your Zen who's ulting. You know, you don't have support. I don't know where your Mercy ended up. Your Mercy, it makes that much harder for Mercy to heal you. You know, Mercy should probably be more like here, but like, yeah. Oh yeah, died instantly. So yeah, positioning super important. You know, even I said playback from over here, but even over here is like dramatically safer than playing on this corner. Playing on this corner is fine. It's not ideal, but if you're gonna play on this corner, you know, don't run out in front of the corner ahead of your team, right? Tank should be ahead of your team, not you. Yeah, you can bob from all the way back here. Like, there's no reason. There's no reason to be this close, right? You know. Yeah, but see what I was talking about with how long it takes that? Even when your Bob is basically incapacitated, it's, you know, they're definitely, it's a distraction. It makes them expend resources. Like, Bob is a huge asset to your team. Just by nature of being there, you know?
I'm on fire!
Honestly, like, I don't mean to be a dick, but I think your Bob contributed more to that fight than you did necessarily, right? Like, Bob should be, if you're playing Ash correctly, it should be about, like, you know, I don't know, 50-50, 60-40, where somewhere in that range. Those fights where you, like, run in and die, but you manage to throw Bob, and Bob does all the work for you, like, you know, you recognize that as a misplay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, you know, this was actually like not a bad defense overall. Like, as much as I was pointing out every little bug and error, 139 is not terrible. That's definitely a time you can beat on this map pretty easily. Well, I say pretty easily. Obviously, you know, your mileage may vary. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so, you know, I don't think you did anything wrong here, but I will say I feel like your style is very frantic. You're like, you know, maybe you're just shooting at like every target you see is available. You know, it's just like, oh, there's a shot, there's a shot, there's a shot. Let's see if you get this kill. Ooh, yeah, mechanics. So, yeah, definitely. I was gonna say try and focus your targets, but also like, you know, there's an exception to every rule, right? Like, I think, yeah, you're probably over focused on the Ana here, and it's understandable. But I think they're you know, both DPS are basically playing super ahead of their tank line, right? So it's a tricky thing to like give a simple answer for, but you know, okay, the Ana is also playing in a bad spot, and she is definitely pickable at this point. And if you had really strong aim mechanics, you could probably kill her. But also, you know, you have a Sim playing over here and a Reaper playing over here, and if you catch one out, you could probably kill them and move on to kill the Ana, because the Ana seems committed to this really poor position with really low HP. So, you know, yeah, it's just mechanics. Okay, there we go. So yeah, you are getting the headshots. I think it's probably just taking a little bit too long, or maybe you're going for headshots when a body shot would do. Like the Ana was really low for a really long time, and you know that because you're the one that got her that low, right? But like, I don't know exactly when this Ana took that damage, but yeah, you should have seen her health bar with that hit you landed. And then, okay, yeah, in real time that's a little less obvious, but anyway, nice kill on the Ana. Unfortunately, you are down 2 currently, if I remember right. Oh, wait, the Ana died at some point. Yeah, so your team isn't. You don't really have your full team to like capitalize on a pick like this, right? So, you know, sometimes as DPS you feel like, oh, I got this really high value pick. Like, why isn't my team pushing? But you know, if you're super tunnel focused, on getting this pick, you know, maybe you don't necessarily notice that, like, you know, 1, 2, 3 of your team are out of action and can't capitalize on your push, or can't capitalize as much on your push, I should say. So, ideally, I feel like you should either sit back here and keep going for these snipes, or like don't shoot at them and grab the Mega first, right? But let's see what happens here. Oh man, the Orisa is super low. Yeah, I feel like the Orisa was definitely killable there. Okay, the Reaper eventually feeds. Excellent. Nice. Yeah, okay, your team's basically got this bag.
On the objective. Gather at this thing.
So, yeah, that was an interesting fight because it didn't really feel like it didn't really feel very coordinated, let's say that. Your team basically just like mashed its face into enemy damage and eventually just wore them out by sheer, like, again with the respawn advantage basically being the thing that makes the fight winnable on offense for you guys. So typically at higher SR, when I see this map being played, teams play kind of like all the way back here, you know, and like on this side over here. It makes it a little harder for this sort of like snowball due to spawn advantage situation. So, you know, you are playing at the rank you're playing at, so I don't want to like talk too much about what happens at higher ranks. But you know, I definitely think you should be playing further back from where the team fight is happening, right? Like, I think playing from back here is a little better than from playing up here, and it might seem like a really small difference, you know, a matter of a couple of feet, but you know, you can snipe like through this whole this whole corridor and be like essentially perfectly safe, you know, from here, right? Push out when you start getting those picks, you know, and safeguard your Ana. But yeah, and the other thing you could do is come in this way, like so, and fight the enemy team from this corner. You've got the health pack for support, right? And as the enemy team dies, you can either take a shotgun jump up to here, take their high ground from them. You know, it's just the Ana alone here if you can make this push around this corner and potentially kill the sim on your way too. If you make this and come up here, and you'll either kill the Ana at close range, generally speaking, or force her off so you jump up onto high ground and she drops off onto low ground to run away from you, which is almost as good, right? Like, you force her out of position, give yourself the power position, and you can rain damage down on the enemy team, right? So that would probably be a better way to push this choke, right? Like, play, so either, you know, a bunch of options. You can play from all the way back here. You can do a flank similar to what you did over here that ended up being pretty good for you, or probably the highest, you know, the highest, what do you call it? Highest value direction to push would be over on this side. You know, got that long angle, you know, that long sight line down here. You can kind of play at this, peek for a while. You can duel the Ana from here, you know, a little easier. And it's really easy to, like, change your focus, right? Dealing with the Ana, she takes cover, boom. Like, you're already, you know, minimal distance move to deal with your enemy team. So, anyway, moving along. Okay. So, okay, lovely. I'm so pleased to see you on this high ground. You have no idea. Yeah, I love to see. You always want to try and take these high ground positions, you know, these power positions and map control. I don't know if you're thinking about that when you take this high ground. If you're thinking like, ooh, this is a good spot, like, you know, oh, hey, there's like a moment, like a breath or two of space in the fight. Take the high ground, like, that's how you should be thinking of it. Yeah. Honestly, though, as much as I'm talking up the high ground, you know, this spot is of a pretty limited usefulness right now. This is actually a better spot for like a Widow. You know, an offensive Widow might sit here and look for picks out of spawn. But as Ashe, you're a little more like medium range than a Widowmaker. So actually dropping down here and playing like up top, so you can maybe catch someone in retreat. Oh, there's no one there. Come over here, catch someone like the Zarya. Perfect example. You know, if you drop down here and kind of walk, like even to this spot. So like, say you're at this spot and you're like looking for those spawn picks. The Zarya, I bet, is just gonna walk in a straight line in the open to her team. Okay, not quite, but you get my point, right? Like, if you sit on this high ground, you're basically uncontested, right? They don't have, let's see, they don't have anything except maybe their Reaper, who can, or maybe even the Sim, but those are pretty slow, like, teleport options to get up to you. So you're fairly safe on this high ground, and I would definitely sit, like, you know, up here is good. You know, maybe push out to like here. You know, shoot the Rhine over the top of your shield. Anyway.
My ultimate is almost ready.
Yeah. What? Nice shots on the. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly what I was talking about. Very difficult for the Reaper to contest you. He's trying though. God bless him. He really. Yeah, you actually like let him push you off high ground. I don't think you had to. Like he's basically struggling to even like do tickle damage. You turned and dueled the Reaper. I think you would have been fine. Oh man, yeah, missing that dynamite feels bad. Yeah, I don't love throwing the Bob post wall. I don't know if you entirely meant to do that, but you know, if you throw Bob and the wall gets thrown out, like as a counter, you know, like what can you do, right? But since the wall comes out, you kind of have a beat here where, you probably should never throw a Bob against a wall, because like, look what's gonna happen. It's pretty much at this point, Bob is not gonna get any value at all. They're Maybe the Zarya over here, but they're pretty much all just going to stand behind this barrier. Bob's going to have very little effect. Oh, brutal. Okay, so the whole enemy team basically just hit Q, so that's actually really good for you guys. As harsh as getting completely wiped feels actually not that bad, because they basically used Sim Wall, Nano, Grav, and Reaper ults, and I don't know, maybe a Convalescence as well. I didn't catch everything, but like, you know, 4 or 5 ults went into that. Ooh.
Somebody get me some healing.
Yeah, that's a nice headshot. Yeah, that was a good dynamite, but I think it ended up in front of the Rhine shield. Do try and get that, you know, behind the Rhine's head if possible. I like this flank a lot, actually. Let's see what happens here. My prediction is that you're going to rush this shot a little bit. Like, this should be basically free, but let's see what happens. Yeah, I think you rush that a little bit. You know, if they're completely caught unawares like that, scoped up, like not moving that much, definitely take that extra second to line up a headshot, right? Yeah. Ooh, yeah. So I get the feeling like this is where your team ends up getting full health here. Yeah, I'm just following your soldier because you know he did basically exactly what I was talking about. You know, he took the high ground. He flanked the enemy. He was an annoying thorn in their side, and it actually ended up being a really big play for your whole team. Just based on that. So, yeah. I'm liking your other DPS. Is done pretty well earlier on Junkrat, and here on 76. Yeah. So, yeah, I think you're a little too hard into the scope. Trying to land those like fat headshots probably. This could be, you know, like part of why your stats are so strong, but like you might be losing games is just to perhaps see if you survive this. Yeah, perhaps just an overcommitment to like landing those scope shots when you know, against characters like Sim and yeah, Reaper as well. Standing, you know, not being able to move as fast because you're scoped in makes you like a more vulnerable target. Like, don't underestimate Ash's burst potential with the spam fire. It's actually really strong. You know, I can guarantee that would have, you know, spamming, you know, your quick fire shots at the Sim would have kept you alive, but I think it would have given you a fighting chance there. Okay. Yeah, that was super nice. I think I like you're pulling out all the stops. So this is interesting. The way you're kind of pieing this corner like this. This feels very like Rainbow Six Siege. This feels very CS:GO. But I don't think this style works as well in Overwatch, right? I think. Let's see what happens here. You might end up getting the kill on the Reaper. I have to eat my words, but yeah. I don't know if slow pushing a corner like that is as worth, especially when the Reaper is like down in health, right? Like, you know, shotgun pogoing over the top or sideways like this to get like that surprise shot would probably be
10 seconds
more valuable.
Now or never.
Okay. Yeah.
What is that melody?
Oh man, I feel like your team pulled out all the stops. You actually pulled out all the stops there. I think you got 3, which is super solid. Okay, so I sped this up because I didn't really feel like what I said was anything new. It was a little repetitive, and honestly, nothing Nothing really worth hearing, so we're just gonna skip all of it. Bottom line, their team really starts to come together and uses ultimates really effectively. And I got really confused by the Torbjorn switch. Yeah, I didn't really see what Torbjorn brought to the table. And I was just asking if it was like a comfort pick or a frustration pick. But it's not really important. You guys basically had a really rough game for second and third as well. Yeah, so I'm just talking about team composition stuff here, which is, you know, not super relevant to your individual play, but I'm just talking about how their team synergizes both in terms of kits and using ultimates effectively to combo. Yeah, so I guess I'll wrap up here and just say I feel like it's a good place to end on this shot right here. Yeah, definitely some really strong, like fundamental mechanics on Ashe. I think it's mainly a positioning thing. There's a little bit of target focus issues. I think not a major, like a really minor issue, but like it just kept cropping up of kind of frantically jumping between targets rather than trying to like hammer down a target, like a Reaper and pressure them out of position, or a Rhine or something and forcing them to like retreat. Definitely a character like Ashe is definitely all about like that single target focus damage. So if you're kind of spreading your damage around too much, he's actually less effective. But yeah, there was some nice headshots in there for sure. That surprised me, to be honest. So you definitely have, mechanical foundation to build upon. So I think it'll just boil down to positioning, ult usage, and focusing a little. Knowing maybe I should say knowing when you should focus a target and knowing when you should not pursue a target. At the detriment of putting yourself out of position, putting your team at a disadvantage in a team fight. Yeah, and knowing like what a low where those low value kills are, right? Like those diva kills that weren't worth a whole ton for the overall situation. Yeah, and the other thing I would say is just based on the post that I read, I would say don't worry so much about stats. What I think you listed like all your scoped accuracy and your headshot, your headshots per every 10 minutes. I wouldn't sweat those numbers so much. They're actually not as meaningful as you might think. It's definitely more about those team plays. It's definitely more about ult economy and things like that that are a little harder to measure. So, other than that, man, I think you're good to go. So good luck in your games, and I hope this has been helpful. Good hunting, man.